Good morning. It's late July here in the Chicagoland area. If you live in the Midwest or know anything about what's going on this time of year with our air quality, we've got Canadian wildfire smoke in the air. So if there's any haze in the background of this video, or if there is, the sun looks golden orange, that's why. So anyway, we're out here at one of my favorite forest preserves in the northwest Chicago area called Deer Grove East Forest Preserve. I don't do a lot of wildlife photography. I kind of consider myself to be more of a landscape, cityscapes, travel destinations, family portraits, things like that. I wouldn't claim to be a wildlife photographer. I have too much respect for those people. I think they're incredibly patient, wonderful naturalists who understand wild places and understand the behaviors of animals, and sometimes wait hours and days for the right photograph opportunity for an animal they're seeking. But I've had an incredibly challenging couple of weeks at work. I've got an incredibly challenging week ahead. Sometimes it's good just to get back out in nature and photograph some animals and just wild spaces. On the drive into the park this morning, I noticed a doe and a fawn running through the park, and they actually came to this area where I'm getting set up now. They probably 10 minutes ago, they ran back into those flowers, into that field, into that prairie. So we won't chase them necessarily. There's a walking path here along the edge of these this prairie. We'll walk along there. There's a walking trail on the other side. We'll see if we get lucky and spot them. But otherwise, let's get to it. So on today's little photography adventure, I've brought with me, of course, my Nikon D850 with the 70 to 200 lens. I've also got my 200 to 500 f4. This is an f2.8, the 70 to 200. Really fast, really good for good low light, which we kind of had this morning. And it's also good for just fast shutter speeds for animals in flight. You may not be able to see this, but there's also a remote controlled aircraft runway over here. So there's a few RV planes flying, which is kind of fun. And then for the first time on a photography video, I'm bringing out my brand new meta glasses. So maybe I'll record a couple of behind the scenes videos and just try these out. These are kind of fun. My wife and kids got these for me for Father's Day. So great gift if you're kind of a tech geek, like most photographers are, I think. So anyway, this is the prairie I was talking about. Lots and lots of beautiful flowers blooming this time of year. Like I said, again, it's late July here in the Midwest. One of the things you really have going for us are just this wild and natural vegetation here in the forest preserves. We just crossed over into Cook County, so we're in the kind of farthest northern reaches of Cook County, but give it a little bit of time. There should be a lot of birds flying in here, and again, like I said, we're going to kind of try to keep an eye out for those deer that we saw running through here about 10 minutes ago. So that's the plan. So like I said a moment ago, I've broken out my meta glasses for the first time on a video like this. This is really cool for behind the scenes videos, so you can see what I see, and kind of get a little bit of a sense of how I maybe set up these videos and some of the workflow that goes into it. So, you know, over here is my DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Of course, as soon as I bought this, they came out with the Pocket 4, which is a little bit more advanced. But you know what? This thing is fantastic. I just used it in St. Lucia for the first time, and I wish I had it in northern Arizona and southern Utah when I did that one a couple of months ago. If you haven't seen that video, go back and check them out. I went all over northern Arizona and went to Horseshoe Bend and Monument Valley, stayed the night in Monument Valley, and then we went up to Arches National Park in Moab the next day. The metas have a 1-minute recording limit, so something to note. But on the next day, we went up to Arches National Park in Moab, and then finished the trip in Factory Butte in Hanksville, Utah. So go and check those out. But I wish I had these glasses then. Could have gotten some really cool behind the scenes stuff. But anyway, let's go explore a little bit. Keeping my eye out for those deer that I saw a minute ago. They were right over here. That would be such a cool shot to capture that fawn and its mom peeking out from behind some of these flowers and some of this wild vegetation. I can even see in front of me, turn the meta glasses on so you can see what I see. But can even see in front of me what looks like an animal trail, most likely deer in this area, cutting through here. So this is an area that this is an area that is used quite a lot for animal traffic. But for now, we're just getting some nice vegetation shots, just nice aesthetic landscapes. So right now it's about 7 a.m. and the sun came up a little over an hour ago, but we're getting to the point of the day where the sun is high enough on the horizon where we're getting some really nice backlit views of some of the flowers and other vegetation. So kind of what I'm going for at the moment. So let's see if we can get something interesting and hopefully have a bird or two. Out here, it's pretty common to get, like right here, a goldfinch. See if I can get this guy really quick. So it's a little after 7 a.m. and kind of like I was saying a moment ago, the birds that you'll see out here most commonly are going to be your American goldfinch, some sparrows, cardinals, cedar waxings, things like that. Just your typical prairie bird for the upper Midwest. Just had a couple of goldfinches fly off in that direction, so I'll keep an eye out for them. We're also on the watch for deer. I brought my kids out here to bike ride a few days ago, and this beautiful 8-point buck walked right across the bike path. Its antlers were still covered in felt, or velvet rather, so it was really pretty. So if we could see something like that today, I didn't have my camera with me, but if we could see something like that today, that would be just incredible. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting for birds to land in front of me, I'm going to try to get some aesthetic shots of the backlit flowers and plants and other vegetation. So let's do this for a minute, get a little bit warmed up. Settings wise, I'm shooting wide open, f2.8 for the vegetation, slower shutter speed, probably 1/2000th of a second. ISO 100 And for metering, I'm kind of going for a balanced metering when I'm doing close-up shots of the vegetation. But if I pan out, or zoom out rather, and include the sky, this Nikon D850 has this wonderful highlight feature on the metering, on the light metering, that prevents you from blowing out the sky and allows you to capture a lot more of that detail, clouds and other detail in the sky, which is really, really nice, especially when your sky is interesting and full of light and full of clouds. All right, so I decided to put away the f2.8 70 to 200 and break out the larger 200 to 500 f4, just because the birds are becoming a little bit more active, and you know, the 70 to 200 doesn't quite reach far enough into the flowers to get them. Slower shutter speed, but I'll take the trade-off for the reach. Had some red-winged blackbirds go by a moment ago. Those are always kind of interesting just because of the way they perch on the reeds and other branches, but really looking for goldfinches if I can find them. Those are beautiful, and the cedar waxings, those are great as well. So let's see what we can find. Something else to keep in mind in terms of settings when you're photographing outdoors is the idea of shoot to the right. And what that's referring to is your histogram. So overexposing by one stop. In your histogram, you'll notice you'll get more of your light shifting to the right. And that allows you to draw down and reduce that overexposure in post. If you undershoot a shot, it's really hard to get the light back by increasing the exposure or increasing the shadows or things like that. But if you shoot to the right, which again is one stop overexposed, you can typically reduce that exposure and really capture that color detail. So look at the histogram on the back of your LED, shoot to the right when you're outdoors. All right, well, I think we're starting to lose the light here. I'm probably gonna wrap this up. Plus I have a hot coffee in the car waiting for me, so I'm thinking about that. The last tip I'll give for any aspiring wildlife photographers, and again, like I said, I don't count myself among their company. I have too much respect for wildlife photographers to do that to them. But something I notice in the best wildlife images is composition. It is so tempting out here when you're just looking for animals, looking for birds, looking for deer, whatever, to simply see deer, shoot deer, photograph deer. See bird, shoot bird, photograph bird, right? But think about composition. That's where the money is made. I just took a photo a moment ago of a red-winged blackbird framed in between two tall golden reeds. These, I'll have to look them up and I'll put them in the comments here in the video, what these tall daisy-looking flowers are. But try to capture red-winged blackbird perched in between those, just thinking about composition. We'll see how it turns out. But again, that's one thing to think about, because that composition makes all the difference. Just kidding. One last tip. Try to recognize the sounds of the animals you're photographing, especially birds. All these different birds out here have unique calls, unique sounds. If you can distinguish between a goldfinch from a red-winged blackbird, from a cardinal, from a sparrow, from a songbird, of some other kind, it's really helpful because I can hear goldfinches over here, and I can also hear red-winged blackbirds. And so if I'm looking for a goldfinch, I'm going this direction because that is where I hear them. You'll also hear the sound of bees buzzing around, which can be cool shots, especially as they're visiting different flowers. And if you can get those backlit shots, those are cool. In the Midwest, you're also going to hear the sound of mosquitoes buzzing in your ear. not much you can do about that other than swat them away. But the Merlin bird app is great for understanding the birds that are around you. It has a live audio feature. It can, I'll put a link to the app here in the comments, and I'll show an image of it here. But the Merlin bird app has a great live listen feature. It can identify all the birds around you, so you can start to learn what it is you're looking for and listening for. So, final tip, maybe. This last thing I'll say isn't so much a tip, maybe some advice. Don't be afraid to go out and just experiment and try. Every CEO of every major company had their first day on the job. They were an intern, an analyst, started somewhere. Every pro wildlife photographer, landscape photographer, every pro studio portrait photographer had their first day on the job. So just because you don't know what you're doing doesn't mean you shouldn't get out and try. In the modern age of YouTube University, there are so many great content creators who share their knowledge freely and share their wisdom and their advice. For wildlife photography, one of my favorite YouTube creators is a photographer named Morton Hilmer. I'll put his link here in this video and in the description of the video as well. But there are so many others for landscapes and just fun and travel. Thomas Heaton, you really can't go wrong with him. The Northern Arizona, Southern Utah photo trip I took a couple months ago was really inspired by a trip that he and some other photographers took last year. So, don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to get out there and experiment. In the age of digital cameras, you've got an unlimited number of photos to take. If you get 999 photos wrong exposure, bad composition, bad shot, but you get that one that looks great, well, you got a great photo, and you accomplished what you set out for that day. So don't be afraid to try. That's all I got to say. On the topic of YouTube content creators that I really like, Gavin Hardcastle, he and Thomas Heaton go out on a lot of adventures. They're both UK-based landscape photographers, and some of their antics are really funny to watch. So those guys are pretty entertaining together, both very talented in their own ways. And then for studio and studio lighting, there's a Chicago-based photographer named John Gress. Again, I'll put all the links to their content in the comments here, but I've started dabbling quite a bit more in studio photography, lighting and backdrops and things like that. John Gress and another guy named Sal Sincata, both great studio photographers, great portrait photographers. Sal Sincata does a little bit more outdoor lighting, but lots of good tips and tricks from both of those creators. And a lot of my inspiration is drawn from everyone I just listed here. So I'll put all their links to their YouTube channels in my comments here, but go check those guys out. That's how I learn a lot about lighting, composition, everything that I'm doing out here. So it's the only way to learn, is to stay curious. All right, well, we're wrapping up here. Nice morning out, good wildlife. Flowers are in full bloom. Of course, as it would happen, I saw a big, beautiful velvet antler buck leaping through the flowers in the meadow about 400 yards away from me, going the opposite direction. So that's why the wildlife photographers earn the big bucks, because a good wildlife photographer would have known to be on the other side of the preserve and had that deer leaping in its direction. But we'll save that complaint for another day. Watch out for the low overhead there. If you've made it this far, just want to say thank you for watching the video. I don't make a ton of content, but when I do, I really enjoy making this kind of stuff. I love getting out and doing photography in nature, in person. It's a privilege to be able to get out here and shoot a little and be outside for a bit. So if you like this video, give it a like, give it a subscribe. I try to create content when I can and photograph and post to my Instagram channel or my Instagram page whenever I can. I'll link my Instagram here as well. But thanks for following along. It's been a good day of photography, and yeah, let's get it ready for the week ahead. So hope to see you out there. Take care for now.